Okay, so I'm just making this video as a troubleshooting video because I'm almost exhausted on all the things that I can do with this as far as what I know. But here's the problem I've been having with my PC recordings. And I'll just show the problem straight away, and I've got a list of things I'll talk about, and I'll just go right through them. But this is what's happening, so pay attention. This is my Premiere file, and to explain what I have going on here. So this is my gameplay footage on audio track and video track 1. That's just the straight up gameplay footage that I'm recording from my Elgato 4K Capture Mark II, and it's recording at 1440p 60 frames a second. I've got this as my next layer is my camera footage, so that's just what I'm getting from my Canon SL3. It's being recorded on my gaming PC through Elgato's capture software, just going at 1080p 60 frames a second. And then this is a Twitch highlight, just so I can help sync things up. So I'll pull that up and use it as a form of reference since everything's synced up in OBS and through Twitch pretty darn well. So I go in and just use that for reference to make sure that the camera and the gameplay footage is pretty lined up, which everything seems to be going well. I also use the audio from the Twitch video file to sync up the audio, make sure everything's consistent. The problem I've been seeing is this. So I've got everything decently set up. There's a little bit of an echo. There's probably like a millisecond or two gap in between as far as perfect sync, but
They're like everywhere.
listen to the gameplay audio. Ignore my voice.
These enemies out.
There we go.
It's getting kind of sloppy.
A little bit. A little bit. A little bit.
Ow, ow. My shield's back up. Front lining. Front lining. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
But see how the audio sounds pretty closely in sync. I usually pay attention to the dialogue in Gears 5 in particular. That's a good measure of if the audio is being synced up. So I have this little cut right here because this is where the problem arrived. Everything's normal
Bada bing,
here.
bada
And after
boom.
the cut.
Good work.
Humorous
is.
moment detected.
And then
What is this nonsense?
Oh no, I'm on
all of a sudden
cooldown.
the audio.
Oh man.
All of a sudden the audio's out of sync.
Thank you kindly. Thank you kindly.
It seems like it's almost like a weird screen tear and a glitch, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what's causing it. Now, I have 4K capture utility from Elgato on my main computer now, but I do have it on my other computer here, and I can just go through the settings. It will not let me expand this. Okay, so it'll be a little bit tiny, but either way. So I go into here, and nothing of importance, just automatically check for updates. It says the format for the stream link is just 1080-60. Again, I don't think anything's relevant there. We go into this, and I'm just going to be referring to what's on the PC, the other PC, so things won't be consistent since I'm using the program in different ways. But I've got the capture device is my Game Capture 4K 60 Pro Mark II. The audio is just coming through the HDMI, so that isn't there. HDMI color range is bypassed, same as input. Input EDID mode is internal, and then the EDID internal here is 1440p. And that's what I have that set to. Picture, it just gives me, you know, if you want to adjust the brightness and stuff. I always just do this in post. Recording. So, file locations, blah, blah, blah. My video encoder, I'm using my graphics card on my streaming PC, which is a GTX 1060 3 gig. It's one of the shorter cards. The format, it's 1440p by 60 frames a second. Bitrate is up to 23.1 megabits per second. Trying to be close to what YouTube has for their bitrate recommendations for 2K footage. Even though I am throwing this into a 1080p file, given the problem doesn't seem to be happening in Premiere because I'm also seeing this issue whenever I preview my videos outside of Premiere. It seems like it's happening within the recording or the encoding where this issue's happening. Now, let me see. I have a few things. I have a list. The biggest thing that I have as far as a suspicion is the GPU. I think that the GPU is struggling mid-recording not necessarily on the encoding, but mid-recording, because at least what I'm looking at, I'll go in and I'll have control panel open when I stream. Whenever I'm streaming, I can't help but notice that my GPU, it'll be sitting somewhere when recording at about 30% usage. It's not very high. It never really even caps 50%. However, I'll get these random moments where it'll spike up to 100% immediate, and it's only a second, if not less than a second. But I noticed just the quick spikes and then back down to 30 like it was nobody's business. It doesn't seem like the graphics card is struggling to handle it. It doesn't seem like it's too much for the graphics card, but something is causing the graphics card to spike, and it seems like it correlates, or at least it's highly coincidental, alongside of these weird glitches and screen tears. And again, I'll show this here.
And
this
we
one
made it
was
to Act 1.
What I've seen.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Good work.
Decontamination is mandatory.
Grab that.
Humorous moment detected.
A little bit of screen frame tearing, and then
What is this nonsense?
boom. Just a time skip. I've been calling them time skips because it's all of a sudden, like, without any warning, it just boom. It cuts frame real fast, and it just ditches those frames. And I'm still trying to figure out, again, what that issue is. I'm theorizing the graphics card. All I really have left to do on trying different stuff for the graphics card is I am arguably just messing around with GeForce Experience, seeing if I updated all my graphics drivers. The newest thing I just tried was I've been on studio drivers for my streaming PC for the sake of, I was told it was better video encoding and blah blah blah. I'm debating switching over to the game ready drivers, thinking, well, Elgato is making a lot of their software with gamers in mind, so maybe the graphics drivers on GeForce Experience. I thought I could open it up and show, but apparently it's got to update. I was thinking that maybe throwing down game drivers might help out, just since Elgato's like, yeah, it's for gamers, gamer drivers will be on gamer computers, right? That at least is the only last thing that I've really got to try, unless it's like an actual physical hardware issue with the graphics card, in which case I might need to like reseat the graphics card, or worst case scenario, I have to just buy a new graphics card, which, especially as the pandemic is still going on and the supply shortages are going on, that is unideal. But if it comes down to that, the next question I have with this is, should I just be getting away with using OBS Studio? Now, this OBS Studio is probably way out of date. Oh god, oh god. OBS Studio, please. This OBS Studio is probably very out of date, but either way, I gotta see how it goes. If I should probably not have that on screen. I go into my settings, I'll compare what settings we have here to what I'm using in OBS Studio, because at least the pros of using OBS Studio is this issue isn't happening when I live stream. It seems to be just an exclusive issue within the recording within Elgato's software, so maybe that is a good sign to use it. However, the cons of going OBS Studio is, one, I really am using the 2K. I like the fact that I have 2K footage and going 2K 60 frames a second. And what I do within Premiere is I just squeeze that footage down into a 1080p format. Just to help condense it, I think like, at least my idea was it would help make it look a bit better while not having the astronomical file size of 2K. Plus, my camera can only record in 1080p, so it seemed like 1080p is the good standard to have, but having a little bit boosted visuals, right? At least that was my thought. As well, I can flex out by having everything separate. I have my audio on a separate track from the gameplay. I have my audio on a separate track from my microphone, so I can flex out any of that and adjust audio beyond what happens on stream, as well as then I can come in and individually color correct and improve the visuals on my camera footage, as well as then come in and individually color correct the quality of the gameplay footage as well, since they might be a little bit different based off of what map we're on, the lighting on the map, so on and so forth. However, just to have it completely streamlined, I guess what I'm looking for if I were to switch to OBS is, can I match or have better quality than what I have on my videos that I've got now? I'll link one of my more recent YouTube videos so you can see what the video quality's looking like on these Gears matches. As far as my settings in OBS, here I will, let me just open up these settings. So I think we mainly just need to go to the output section, if I'm not mistaken, and I go to recording. Now this is going to be tremendously different because this one doesn't have that, all my recording settings going. So my recording, if I were just to hit the record button in OBS like what I'm doing now, it's showing, it rescales the output to 1920 by 1080 instead of 2K. It's capturing one single audio track, which I am curious. I think that there's ways that you can have the, like if I were playing music through my computer, that I can exclude the audio track from Twitch recordings as well, or like whenever it gets put out onto Twitch, I think there's a way to separate that. But anyway, that's a different conversation. At the moment, I've got the video settings here. The rate control is on CBR. The bitrate I currently have set to 13,000 kilobits per second. I know YouTube's 1080p recommendation is 12,000. I'm going a little bit extra because I am a little bit extra. And then I have always been uncertain of this, since it's been a few years since we've really adjusted this at all. But the CPU usage preset I have set to very fast. Now, given on my computer, on my streaming computer, it is currently using a a Ryzen X 1800, or Ryzen, the original generation 1800X, and it does well with most things that we're rolling with. I am concerned that it might be a little bit too much on the processor, but I would really need to test that to be sure. And then everything else is set to just about the same. Yeah, no profile, no tune, no X264 options or anything like that. If it would just be better for me to not worry about recording via the Elgato software, by all means. But if there was a way to fix that setup, if anybody knows what the solution to the problem is to stop that frame skipping, or make it so OBS has just as good a quality as my other videos, that's what I'm after. Let me know if any of this makes sense, or if you need me to clarify anything else, I will. Thank you for everybody that watches this and wants to help out with troubleshooting. I appreciate it greatly.